Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Wood with another episode of Pay Me No Mind. It's a special one. I have a great guest on today, a comedian that I was able to run into, a local guy. I didn't know he was from here, but I went to check out Red Grant a few weeks back, well, a little over a month and a half or so, and his brother opened up for him. And I thought he just has an interesting story. He seems to be going places. And I tracked him down on Twitter and a couple of mutual friends, and he agreed to come on and do an episode of Pay Me No Mind. So I won't stay long with this one because it's strictly going to be an entertainment show. So the comedian's name is Mark Gregory. He seems to be going places. When I initially tried to set up a date with him, he had just won a comedy competition that allowed him to go on a short tour with several, or be the opening act for an ongoing tour. I think the show, the competition that he won was called The Search for the One. And I think that took place down in Orlando. So we'll get into that really quickly. The interview ran a little long and it ends a little awkward, but it's kind of, the trials and tribulations of amateur radio. So we'll get into that. I did have a couple of entertainment notes really quickly. It was kind of a down week for, Independence Day weekend. Terminator Genesis didn't do all that well. The sequel to Magic Mike XXL, I think it opened with like 11, almost $12 million, came in the top 5. Those were kind of disappointing. I haven't seen the Terminator movie, but I really wasn't too interested in seeing it based on the trailers that I saw. So, it's a rough one. I just think they've tried to make the story too complex when the original Terminator was I think it just benefited from the time that it was released. It really had to rely on some other things, some other aspects besides just great special effects and CGI and complicated plot line, storylines and whatnot. So, we'll see where they go with that. I'm sure there'll be another installment in that one. Magic Mike, the first one wasn't really my bag. I just think Channing Tatum, his star goes up and down. But, I give him credit because he's trying to push his brand. So, you win some, you lose some. Another note is Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, I guess, are calling it quits. I didn't realize they had 3 kids, but it looks like they're going to be splitting up. That's one of my favorite guys in Hollywood, ever since he was able to kind of revitalize his career with The Town. So that's happening. The Grateful Dead also called it, they wrapped up their touring as the Grateful Dead. Funny thing was, I believe I heard every member in the band actually has his own band, and so they'll be touring in some kind of some configuration of the band or different parts of it or whatnot. I think that music could continue to live on in some shape, form, or fashion. And then music wise, kind of a shocking week. Meek Mill came out with Dreams Worth More Than Money. Haven't heard that one. I was excited. I was kind of eager to hear Miguel's Wild Heart. I think that's probably been out maybe 2 weeks now. I just did the snippets of it on the iTunes store. A couple of decent sounding cuts on there. I'll eventually check it out. Bilal also came out. Another kind of, I tried to give it some love. I did the snippets. I bought a couple of singles. I think with Big Crit, with features by Big Crit and also K Dot, and they were okay. I got to give them a couple more listens. I think Bilal's album is called In Another Life, by the way. I think Adrian Younge, up and coming producer, soulful producer, did most of the music on it, I believe. And I think his sound with the Ghostface projects and who else did? Oh, and the Prime project with Premier and Royce, the 5'9". His sound is just coming very familiar, and I think when when he switches up with other artists, I don't know. I like to hear a little bit of just some different elements to kind of separate and kind of tailor the music to each artist. So I'm gonna dig back into it In Another Life. I'll also get around to checking out more of Wild Heart. I did listen to the cut with Lenny Kravitz, and that one was decent. There's also Vince Staples out there I haven't gotten around to. I've kind of really been big on last month's big release for me was music for my friends from Brooklyn MC Sky Zoo. That project has kind of set the bar for me, so I've kind of just been living with that album for a minute and going from there. So in the future, I got some different shows coming up discussing some finer points of music, but I'm gonna get ready to get into today's special guest, a comedian, Mark Gregory. What else was it? I thought it was one more item that I had to talk about really quickly. And the other thing was that the fact that there was no episode of Power this weekend, so that kind of left a hole in the weekend. Other shows that I'm checking out are I'm trying to get caught up on Orange is the New Black. I'm still on season 1, but I'll be catching up. I'll have some thoughts on that, and then another big one that I'm checking out, I'm digging really strong, is HBO's The Detectives, True Detective. So I'm an episode behind on that. So I'll get you caught up with Power, probably break into True Detective, see what else I can hit on to get in some more entertainment. So like I said, I'll be doing something on either J. Cole or Sky Zoo, get more in depth on those two projects. Trying to line up the right people to discuss those with. So I could always turn to some of my family.
You're tuned in to a one-take
podcast production.
That's right. This is Pay Me No Mind with your show host, Wood. I'm down with the One Take Podcast Nation, my brothers B Dav and B Meeks. You'll see those guys out there on Twitter pretty heavily. So right now, I'm going to go ahead, like I said, get into this interview with my man. And I'd like to say, I wanted to get in some humor of my own, but I DM'd Mark some questions to kind of convey what I wanted to talk about, and to try to get his commitment to actually having a call, or whether or not we were going to meet in person. And he started answering the questions in the DM, and I was like, no, I wanted to talk. I just was trying to show you how serious my questions were, just in case you thought I was I am green at it, but just where I was trying to go with telling his story. So me and him just met, and it kind of shows. Took a little while for the interview to kind of get going, but I think we touched on some interesting things. We wrapped up with some sports. So again, check out my new friend of the show, Mark Gregory. All right, right now we want to welcome a comedian to the show, to Pay Me No Mind. This is your host, Wood. Right now on the line, I have none other than Dayton, Ohio's own Mark Gregory. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Pretty good, man. I appreciate you taking out a moment to talk with me today. I know we've been playing
Twitter tag.
phone Twitter tag.
Yeah, Twitter tag, not phone tag, right?
That's even better. Yeah, Twitter tag. So, and I didn't mean to bum rush you with a bunch of questions earlier today, but I was trying to convey, the level of questions that I was trying to get into to kind of draw in your interest in sitting down with me.
Oh, yeah, no, you good, because, I think we had previously spoke about doing the interview. So, yeah, it was one of those things where you kind of refresh the memory, so it's definitely needed. So I appreciate you.
Right, and I'll be honest, it was a national HBO deaf poet in town a couple weeks ago, and I thought about trying to get a couple of comments from him because I had my cell phone with me, obviously, but I didn't. And then the next day, I was like, you know what, man, you really should have just tried to get one question in.
Yeah,
he was very approachable.
Yeah, that was I've worked with Black Ice 2 times, man. Really, really cool dude. I mean, he has a lot of credentials and a lot of accomplishments, but he's still low to the earth, man. Real cool dude.
Okay, well, I guess I squandered an opportunity then.
Yeah.
Hey, so really quickly, first of all, I want to start off, and I had some research on you earlier when we were supposed to talk the first time, and I lost it. But what was the comedy competition that you won within the last 2 or 3 months?
The comedy competition it was called the Search for the One Comedy Competition, and it was put together by a comedian by the name of Akintunde. Now, at this point, Akintunde is a clean comedian, clean/Christian comedian, but before he went that direction, he was kind of major, and I guess you'll call it in just the secular arena, touring colleges and comedy clubs, and but he was still major though after he made the transition to just clean comedy. He was the head writer, as well as the producer on the Monique show. I mean, he writes for Monique, Chris Tucker. What else? He was, a writer on the Apollo show. So definitely one of those comedians that has a lot of credentials. So he put together a comedy competition, and he's been doing it again the last 5 years. And it was a 6-round competition. Audition in Detroit, made it to the finals, which was April 24th in Orlando, Florida. I want to say it's about 12 comedians on the competition. Since this competition, there's probably about 4 comedians who really kind of was like, man, those guys can win it. But I had a strong set. So we got 10 minutes in the finals. I mean, I came out, jumped on their neck kind of early, and just kept punching. And so we had a TV in the back, and you could pretty much see everybody's set. And I was like, okay, got to worry about this guy. So long story short, man, they called us back on stage and, did the dramatic finale. They called my name, and I won, and I was happy, man. So from winning the competition, I got added to their tour as an opening act. And we went out last week. I was in South Carolina, Florida, all last week. And then we did a television taping in Jacksonville, Florida on the, June the 26th, and that was amazing there. And then, so the final thing I got for winning was being represented by their agent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually saw a couple weeks later, after I did that research, I saw that I think you may have even tweeted it out, that you did an interview on TBN.
Oh, yeah.
At that point, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this brother to come back on, pay me no mind, but I'm going to try anyway. So,
yeah.
And actually, the first time that I encountered you and your comedy, I came out to go see Red Grant a couple months ago, and you opened up for him. And while I was watching you, I really didn't process it that you were clean, and I didn't know anything about you being a Christian comedian. So I just thought you had some very real world, some practical jokes, and I thought it was hilarious, you know. And the one thing about the one bit about your neighbor changing the Wi-Fi password, that's everyday stuff. You know?
It is, man. Yeah. And in a situation like that, man, that's I'm gonna say about 95% of my material is based off of real life stuff that has happened. And then, but you know what though, a lot of people do make the assumption that I am cussing because they associate funny with cussing. So I get off stage and one of my boys